Now, climate activists took to the streets calling for global climate action in the 10th series of worldwide protests on Friday. The Fridays for Future movement called for demonstrations from India to Europe and the United States. Dozens of young Americans protested outside the seat of the U.S. government in Washington, D.C. Some protesters raised the issue of environmental racism and called on the priorities people over profit.
People united will never be defeated. The beat is on fire. We don't need your money. Let these corporations burn.
In Germany, activists took to the streets in solidarity with Ukraine, but also wanted to divert attention back to the climate crisis. Austrians too gathered on the streets of Vienna, called for an end to the world's dependence on oil and gas. In Brussels, a few hundred demonstrators from young teenagers to elderly grandparents marched on the streets, asking Western leaders to stir away from all fossil fuels. In France, several hundred demonstrators took part in a climate march. It started from a place in Paris as part of the global climate action. Protesters also took to the streets in the Indian capital of New Delhi to demand the government to take some action on climate change. The protesters carried placards, posters, banners and chanted slogans as they raised their voices against a lack of action. In Australia, children in every state and territory took part in 45 climate strikes, with hundreds gathering outside Prime Minister Morrison's residence in Sydney. They called on the federal government to divert funding away from coal and gas projects and push for clean, renewable energy and First Nations solutions.